The currency rate indicator is just such a brilliant indicator because it presents complex information in a very simple, intuitive and clear way on the chart. And what I've created here is 3 very simple time frames to highlight the power of the indicator. On the left here we've got the 15-minute, in the center we've got the 30-minute, and over on the right hand side we've got the hourly chart, the 60-minute time frame. And what I've done with the indicator, just to highlight in a very simple way, I've actually isolated out the British pound. All these buttons here work on a toggle basis, and it's just simply a question of toggle on, toggle off to isolate out a particular currency, which then displays the associated currency pairs within the complex. So on each time frame I've isolated out the British pound. And what the currency array presents very simply, very clearly and very powerfully are several different aspects related to not only the pound itself, but also in terms of those particular currency pairs within that particular complex which offer the best trading opportunities, and in addition to that also perhaps those currency pairs which are reaching an overbought or oversold condition. And all of that is presented on the currency array itself. The first thing to note is clearly that we can see across this time window of the 15-minute through to the hour that the British pound is being sold pretty much universally across the complex. And what that means to us as traders, if we're trading the British pound in any pair, it just means that we are trading with the universal sentiment across the market right now. In other words, we are trading with the universal flow. You can think of universal flow as a river, and if the river is flowing in one direction, then that's the direction you want to be trading in, because you're trading with market sentiment for that particular currency. And as you can clearly see here, up at the top here we've got the euro pound, because the pound here is the counter currency. So the pound is being sold here, which is why this particular currency pair is above this midpoint region here of 0. And then to the downside, where the pound is the first currency to appear, all of these are below the level. And as you can see right down at the bottom here, the most heavily bearish on the 15-minute is the pound Aussie. We move to the 30-minute, we've got the pound Aussie again. And indeed, over on the hourly chart, the pound CAD is actually more bearish than the pound Aussie, but you can see also the pound CAD is here. So the 2 most heavily bearish currencies are pretty much the pound Aussie and the pound CAD across the complex. So instantly you have a visual representation of the strength of bearish or bullish sentiment to a currency and how that is then reflected across that currency's complex. In other words, in all the other related currency pairs. And you can instantly see on the indicator where the sentiment for that particular currency and the associated pair you're considering trading, whether sentiment across the complex is universal, or perhaps it may be that the chart or the currency pair you're considering may well be counter, in which case the risk on that particular trade is much higher, because if you're trading with the universal flow in the market, then the risk is much lower, because you are trading with the universal direction that everyone else in the market is trading. You're not trading against the river, in other words. You're not taking on a trade which is counter to the direction that everyone else is trading in for that particular currency. So that's the first aspect to it. It is very much about seeing universal sentiment across the currency complex. Now, the second thing also, which really follows on from that, is that the steepness of these lines, the gradient that you see here, gives you an immediate view on the strength of the trend. And the flatter the line, then the less strong the trend. So, for example, here on the 15-minute, we've got cable, pound dollar. The trend on the 15-minute chart will be less strong than that on the pound Swiss, the pound yen, pound CAD, down to pound New Zealand, and ultimately down to the pound Aussie. So what you're seeing graphically on the array, in addition to seeing the universal sentiment towards a particular currency in that complex, you're also seeing a visual graphical representation of the strength of the trend and the momentum in that trend, because the steeper the line, then the stronger is the trend developing. And as you can see here, we've got the strongest trend on 15-minute is in the pound Aussie. Again, on 30, exactly the same. And over here, we've got the pound CAD very, very sharply inclined to the downside. And to the upside, equally, we can see we've got bullish sentiment pretty strong in the euro pound across the complex and across the time frames. So this gives you an instant visual representation not only of sentiment, but also in terms of trend and momentum. That's even without looking at a chart. So you just looking at the array will tell you instantly which pairs are moving strongly, which pairs are moving less strongly, and perhaps those to go and consider. If you're a trend trade, for example, you want to see strong trends developing and you want to be trading with the universal flow of the market. Now, in addition to that, we then have, as I mentioned earlier, on the ranking ladder alongside here, the ranking here obviously displays what is going on in terms of the trends here. So we've got at the bottom, we've got pound yen, pound CAD, pound New Zealand, and pound Aussie. And that is obviously reflected over here. So you have a visual representation of the array on the ranking ladder. And then as we move over to the 30-minute here, the second ladder here then gives us a visual idea on when a currency pair is approaching or reaching an overbought or an oversold state. And when a currency pair is reaching an overbought state, as here, then this appears as dark blue and appears with brackets. And should that currency pair reach an overbought state, then these will change from the bullish perspective, at any rate, will change to bright blue and the brackets will disappear. Equally down at the bottom, where a currency pair is approaching an oversold state, you can see that applies here to this ranking down here, and also equally we've got 4 over here which are approaching an oversold state. Again, they're darker red with the brackets to the oversold signal. But as these reach an oversold condition, potentially oversold condition, they will change to bright red on the ranking ladder, and conversely to bright blue at the top of the ranking ladder for the reverse. So if you're a reversal trader, for example, if you are looking for reversals, then again, it's a fantastic indicator. It just gives you that heads up to the potential opportunities which are building in terms of overbought and oversold conditions. It's a brilliant indicator. It delivers a huge amount of information in a very simple and intuitive and clear way. And used in a multiple time frame like this is just a fantastic addition to have with your charts. Thanks for watching this video. Lots more to come. I hope you've enjoyed this one on the currency array, and see you soon, and bye for now.